Do you guys ever take a vacation?
Yeah.
When?
I don't know. We had one early May.
Where did we go?
And I got Patty with me. Say hello, Patty.
Hello, Patty.
And where are we?
We are at Distortions in
But
Greeley, Colorado.
But we're here for the Bowl Expo.
We are.
And Patty is hoping to sell somebody at the Bowl Expo on fear tickets / high ticks.
Well, it wouldn't be fear ticket, it would be high ticks at the moment.
High ticks, of course. Now look at this railroad track. Now I'm going to tell you something. We've been sitting here for a little while. The scariest thing about Distortions is this railroad track, because we were sitting here and these trains roar by and they are scary.
It just roared by.
It just shakes the building. It's terrifying. Okay, I'm like, holy cow, they need to make an animation for it. So anyway, we're here in Denver, Colorado for the Bowl Expo, and we said, hey, let's go by and check out Distortions, and we're going to do a one-take walkthrough of the entire Distortions plant. We're going to ask Ed some questions, and I can tell you the first time that I ever went to Transworld was 1994. That was the same year the Darkness was built. So the show was in March in Chicago, and the Darkness opened that October. So it was 1994. I know exactly the first time I went to Transworld. And one of the very few companies that sold haunted house products of any kind was Distortions. So I remember loading up my IROC Z28. I took off the T-tops and everything so the props would hang out the top. The hatch was all the way up. I drove 5 hours with the hatch up just to get all the props in the IROC Z28 that I bought on the show floor. And
now,
so
I believe this street here, they actually do like a monster day because Distortions, you know, based on their popularity, got with the city of Greeley, and they do a day, I want to say in August.
yeah, and they have videos of it on their YouTube page because Distortions,
It's huge.
They
With
used to-
vendors and fun activities.
like 8,000 people come. But let's go in.
Yeah.
Let's get this tour. And the very first thing you're greeted with is Boris Karloff. That's Frankenstein. That's how we knew we were in the right place.
Yeah, because the door was literally open. And
Yeah.
we couldn't see the 517, but we saw the monster.
You don't know it's Distortions. And look at that, right when you open the door, you get hit with this monster. And then, yes, you are here at Distortions, and there's Ed, and there's Marsha. Hello, Marsha.
Hey, guys.
Ed is working.
Hi.
And
Patty.
Hello, good to see you. Hello, Ed.
There you go.
oh, and look at this.
How are you guys?
Hey, Ed.
Fantastic.
Oh,
Now-
thanks for having us out.
Ed, I have a question right out the bat.
Yeah.
I see this, and that looks like a much younger Ed.
That guy, no, that's my evil twin.
And that's Batman and the Joker.
Yeah.
What exactly does that represent there?
Well, that was our first gigantic, crazy mass production of insane amounts of mass. We did like
40,000.
40,000 what? Cows?
I think so.
Yeah, well, I think it was over
Or
100,000.
total.
No, it was 100,000 total of different
Right.
Batman parts, and we did the costumes and the
It used to have a mass
gloves,
production of masks.
conveyor belt.
You had a
Check
machine.
this out.
Yeah. We were making a Batman cowl every
Oh,
3.5
nice.
seconds when we were working at speed.
Wow.
3.5 seconds. Well, I've got video to prove it. It was quite a thing.
That was
That's-
89.
That was 89,
75
yes.
employees.
Batman 1989.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you a question. When did Distortions start?
A couple years ago, right, honey?
Yeah,
78.
it's just like it was yesterday.
1978, which
78.
is pitiful, I know.
And what did you do in 1978?
Well, mass. That's all we started with mass.
And where'd you make them?
Just in a, well, it started in a apartment, and we moved to a 2-bedroom apartment, which was real uptown because I could make the mass in 1 bedroom, and
So you're like Steve Jobs, really.
Yeah.
Making
Yeah.
computers in the garage.
Yeah.
And so it just all started with making masks. And when did you finally realize that, hey, there's an audience for this and
well,
I need a
It's
shop?
It's too long a story to tell here, but basically what happened is I made my first mask and I took it to a store downtown Greeley, and they wanted to know if I could make more to sell, and that's how the company started. It was very humble beginnings.
And
let
then
me tell you.
Fangoria.
Yeah,
you
we
started
put this
putting
little
ads.
ad. It was this big in Fangoria, and it had a couple masks. It cost $85 to put that ad in Fangoria, and that started it. Man, it started.
And then when did, now see my first show, I was mentioning this outside, was 1994. I know it was 1994 because that's the year The Darkness opened. So the show was in March, and the haunt opened in October. And so I did both. I mean, I didn't even know about the show. And so I walked through the show. I had no idea what to expect. There was very few haunted house vendors. There was like, I would say I could count them. I would consider Gag, because it was kind of theming haunted house stuff. There was you, and Cinema Secrets was more of a haunted house company then. They sold a lot of body parts, but there wasn't very many. Okay, when did you realize that haunts first started coming to the show, and maybe I should make more props for haunted houses?
Well, you know, originally we were just doing wholesale mass and things, and then, I don't know. I think for us the start was the electric chair.
Right. Well, we were doing big displays in the early '90s, like we did Predator,
Alien,
Queen Alien.
Yeah.
Queen
But
Alien.
before that, we were aware of
Queen Alien.
aware of haunted house
Yeah.
stuff, and we were starting to make props that would go in a haunted house. You know, like half bodies and stuff.
But what I'm saying is, like at Transworld itself, okay, mostly it was basically a retail show.
Yeah.
Okay, for retailers. When did you start to realize, man, you know, there's some haunted houses showing up. Maybe we should think about making more products for haunted houses? Because today, would you consider yourself more of a Halloween retail company or for haunted houses?
I think we're more haunted houses and home haunts.
But originally, you were more for retail.
Yeah, it was all wholesale.
In 1994, when I went to the show, you had some stuff, but the stuff you had would be like the stuff you could buy in a retail store,
right.
like the arms and legs and some props.
Right.
So in 1994, you were not acutely aware that there's a haunted house industry dying to spend a lot of money for props. When did it finally like sink in? What was the turning point for you?
95, right? We did a local little haunt at our place. We did a local little, we called it
the Dark Museum.
The Dark Museum. We
Yeah.
put the electric chair in there,
Yeah.
and people loved it. And it was just a crude, the old school motor, big motor gearbox.
But I think that was really the start when that hit big. And, you know, because when I took that, it was the most expensive thing that the industry had seen. And so I thought, well, we thought it was kind of cool, but we didn't have any idea. And so it was like $3,800. I thought I'd sell 6. And we sold over 200. And that thing went out across the country. And these haunted houses that were used to buying their masks at Kmart and putting up black plastic suddenly realized, wow, if I spend some serious money, I can make some serious money, because their attendance was doubling and tripling. And so I think that's when we got serious about it, even though we'd done some props.
Yeah,
prior.
and also during that time, of course, masks went to China, so
Yeah,
we
so
had to move on.
yeah.
what is the most successful, like 5 of the most successful props that you guys have sold to haunted houses? I'm sure one of the electric chair is one.
Yeah, electric chair's one.
The Mutant recently.
Yeah, recently the Mutant is
The Banshee.
Doing very well.
But a few years back, we've sold tons of like the little Jolt guy.
Jolt, Bolt.
Yeah, Crazy Kristen,
Yeah.
all those kind of things.
Yeah, kind of a mid-range kind
Yeah.
of price range.
Yeah.
But
Even when the haunted house stuff was booming, you were still mostly like retail because you were connected with Morris.
Yeah.
yes.
But now, where's Distortions today?
Well, Morris, of course, has changed dramatically, and Ruby's, and so now we're able to communicate with our end buyer, which we couldn't for all these years. We didn't know, by and large, who they were, or we didn't talk to them. We saw the retailers at the trade shows, and we sold to Morris, so there was walls between us and the customer. Now with social media, we can figure out what people want and, you know, communicate with them, and it's great.
Most of our sales are online for sure.
Yeah.
Now,
The
do you
majority.
do you talk to haunters? Like, say, is there like a group of haunts that you say, hey, you know, what are you looking for? Or do you guys just come up with your own?
We kind of come up with our own stuff. Sometimes people give us advice, but I think our motto now is just, if we like it, there'll be some other people that like it, and it's by and large true.
Okay. Well, let's take a look at your shop. Yeah.
Yay!
And let's
You
keep
didn't say hi
talking.
to Arnold while you were here.
You know, I seen him and
waiting for you guys, and he had some notes on the chalkboard.
Yeah.
It's on the chalkboard.
and he's scribbling them.
Yes.
And he has like something sticking out of him to hold
yeah,
up
well, that
a
holds
gun.
machine gun. It's okay.
Now I am going to tell you that I've already asked him if I could buy it from him,
Yeah,
and he said no.
He's my buddy.
Now you have dead people laying all
Yeah,
over
well,
this.
it's just
And then look at this. Who made that for you?
that was Adobe.
It was
Let's see,
at
Russell Brown.
Adobe conference, and
Yeah.
somebody was there doing those
Yeah, Russell
kind
Brown
of holographic things.
filmed that.
Now let me ask you a question, because like when I asked about the haunted houses and how it affected your business, you tried to open a haunted house.
Yeah.
It's called Brutal Planet.
Oh, we didn't try. We succeeded.
No, I know that
Successful.
you had one, right?
Yeah.
But like you found that it was really hard to do the haunted house and this
because
business.
it's the busiest time for, Distortions is obviously the busiest time for a haunted house, and we almost killed ourselves. And, we were driving home with wads of cash, and the police escorted us out of the place, and we'd stop at Taco Bell because it was the only thing open late at 2 in the morning.
You guys
It
have been
was-
there?
It was terrible, but it was fun.
Now Ed, I have told people over the years you can't do both.
No.
It's just
We
too
learned the hard way, Larry.
it's too hard.
Yeah, we tried it a few times, and it's very painful. So we're happy to do what we do. Well, Larry, come on in. This is
Come on,
the
Daddy.
door to Willy Wonka's factory.
Now I actually went through Brutal Planet.
I
Remember I picked up a werewolf mask from
I
you,
remember that.
and I went through Brutal Planet. And then you had worked with Burton.
Yeah, John Burton.
Yeah.
Did you see it when it was running, though?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, what'd you think of that?
Yes, that was great.
For the time.
And it had a lot of your animations in
Oh,
it.
yeah, well, that was easy.
That's why it was great.
So, let's go straight. This is,
This is wild.
this is where we...
Look at all these hands.
Well,
right?
now you haven't been to this location, right, Larry?
No.
Now, were you at any of the other?
When I came, it was like in the late 90s.
Oh yeah. So things
yeah.
have changed. So yeah, we put this wall of hands up that we need for the monsters. This is recent. We built a new paint room, and we changed some things, trying to increase production. This will only penetrate this a little. Watch your step, Larry. Mike's area is very dangerous. But anyway, we've kind of expanded Mike's area. This is where all the welding, pneumatics, control systems, Mike's just figured that all out.
And just, speaking of Mike, he's been with you for like an eternity.
Over 25 years.
Is your business like a family? Like everybody here
Yes.
is like a family type
It is.
business?
It's like the people that work here are like family. We see them more than our own brothers and sisters. It's
Well,
When-
our main guys have all been here over 20.
yeah.
And you have like, because of you've been doing this for so long, you have like really famous sculptors call you and ask if they can make monsters.
Yeah, it's just kind of a thing. Like we just had a guy from Denmark come in, Anders, and it was one of those bucket list thing. He wanted to sculpt, so we
wild.
had him out.
Hey, let me ask you this. Like when you had your show, Making Monsters, and you were literally showing like Jordu and people like that coming here physically, sculpting them. And now you see people like doing those kinds of things on 3D printers
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Have you guys looked into doing any of that kind of stuff?
We have, and it's wonderful. I'm a little old-fashioned. I like working in clay. I just, it's like let's change this, and I just,
Clay
and it's-
people.
Is that
Yeah,
something
we
you
are.
would do in the future, you think?
Yeah.
We would certainly explore it, and we have used some 3D printing for certain things, but we kind of like clay. It's just I don't know. It's just a very earthy sort of process. So anyway, this is where I spend the majority of my life. Now we had this paint room when we first moved in. We put this in. The landlord couldn't understand why we needed a paint room too big until he saw it the first time when we had product in here. And so we've been doing this for 14 years, and we just built a second paint room that mirrors this, so we can work one and go back and forth.
And these are all animated banshees.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
So Mike welds them up over there.
Well, we actually get some help welding. Like these bases are made and things, and then Mike finishes everything. Sometimes Mike does it all. Sometimes we'll bring him in partially welded. But yeah, she rises up with smoke, and then she screams, leans forward, and spits at you.
Now we have one. We bought
Oh,
one.
did you?
Now I have to ask this because I'm just curious. What is the wall of speakers?
Well, it's for when it's really late and I'm working on the weekend or something, and
You trying to stay
just
awake?
gets my blood pumping. Yeah, it's great.
Or if Tom's in here.
Here, I'll show you this.
What kind of music do you like?
All sorts of stuff. This is beach house, but I like harsh stuff. Not as harsh as Tom Cassidy. Boy, some of that is just like demonic screaming. But so we got this wall of speakers, which we're using like for
Holy
shelves, too.
cow.
And that wall of speakers.
Is this your camera you turn on when you're painting?
Yes. Yeah. When we do high speed stuff, we'll look at how badly we've treated it.
Holy.
Adam shoots stuff with his 4K.
And this is almost like a paint shop for a car repair place.
Yeah.
You got all the sprayers, all the different everything.
This is what makes the sound right here.
And that keeps you working.
Yes.
How many hours, how many days a week do you work, still?
I don't know. What is it, Marcia?
Well, we're here on the weekends, but not, maybe.
How many days a week do you work, Ed?
7.
7?
7 days.
And how many hours a day?
Well, during the week it's usually 8:39 to 6:30, 7:30. The weekends we're a little lazy on
We're a
Saturday.
little
We get in
lazy on
about
Saturday.
11.
Do you guys ever take a vacation?
Yeah.
When?
I don't know. We had one early May.
Where'd we
A
go?
few days. Family.
Oh, yeah. We went to Las Vegas.
So when is a good time for you to hey, we're a little burnt out. We need to relax.
Usually May?
November,
It used to be
December.
November.
Yeah, but we're
November's
busy all year
kinda
round.
busy.
We're not into the big. Let's go to the Cayman Islands for 2 weeks. We don't do that, but we'll go to a hotel maybe half hour away for 2 days, and that's
Well-
a big vacation for us. We'll just go because it all stops if you're out of town, and we don't have to go that far. So
Now things have really changed because in the old days, people would never want to show anything they do new,
Yeah.
fearing somebody would knock them off or whatever. And now it's kind of a year-round business. So when you develop new products, are you developing them after Halloween and thinking of Trans World, or are you thinking about we're making new products all the time?
we're starting to make new products all the time. It works much better. We can give it our undivided attention. The thing that's nice is, we like to release stuff at Transworld, but actually we release it all year round, just whenever we want to.
But is there an emphasis on Trans World that hey, we really need to when do you start thinking, well, we got to put our heads together?
In November.
In November?
We'll have a company-wide meeting. Everybody will bring up ideas. We'll write them all down. We'll vote on them, it's a good system. Except sometimes they don't like my stuff, and I don't like that. But anyway, this is paint room 1. Oh wait.
Now, is there 2 different versions of this guy? So if somebody asks, you'll paint him green instead?
Well, yeah, okay. This
did
is
for
this
this
is
one.
top secret. We don't like to do custom stuff. We did it for somebody, but we really
She does
it's
look
such a
cool.
mess. Somebody will say, "I want mine with more blood," and we'll make it with more blood. And then in shipping, sometimes we'll send the bloody one to somebody else. And what did you do? It's covered in blood. And then the guy that ordered more blood doesn't get the one with more blood, and we just can't do it. We can't keep it all
If
straight.
it's a big piece, sometimes we'll do a
Well,
little.
let me ask you this question. Are you finding that you're getting more customers now from your social media or trade shows?
I think social media, I think that the guys that come to the trade shows know us already.
Yeah.
And social media will put out, a semi-viral video and people will see it and then, they'll subscribe and things. So It's really.
Have you also?
Where it's at, as far as I'm concerned.
Hey Ed, like in the old days, let's go back all the way to the 90s, early 2000s. Did you find like most of your orders come in like say after a trade show, but now they're just kind of evenly coming all year?
The thing is, it's always been, at least with Trans World, it's always been we'd sell 10% of what we sell for the year, and that still holds true. It's really kind of a funny thing. But even though we changed our model many times. So anyway, this is paint room 2. I was working on these today, and this is really helping with production. We also have a new guy.
How much is this?
That's probably $400 or $500.
And who would buy that?
500.
Home hunters.
Home hunters,
Or
mostly.
just home decorators.
Yeah.
What percentage of your business, and I'm not trying to like get into, I mean, we're just talking in generalities. How much of your business is home haunter versus professional haunter?
That would be a Marcia question.
Yeah, just generally, I would say maybe 2/3, 3/4, quite a bit.
3/4 is which one?
Home.
Home.
Isn't that something?
3/4 of your business is now home haunters.
Right.
Wow.
Or decorators and decorators.
Wow.
Well, as you well know, Larry, the haunt business has changed. A lot of these large haunts will go shopping at Transworld for ideas more than product because they've got a effects guy and they say, "Could you make one of those?" "Yeah, sure, I'll make that for you." You know, and so they got people that can do it. So we still sell to haunters certainly,
A lot,
quite
yeah.
a bit, but home haunters are.
These things are cool. So who sculpted this?
This is Tom Cassidy. He
Wow.
drew it, and we love the drawing, and he sculpted it. And
All right.
so anyway,
Lots of cool monsters. And these are cool too.
These are old school. Eric Harris sculpted
Oh,
this
yeah, Eric
years
Harris.
ago.
back in the day.
And of course, you're also was one of the original Alien. You're the one who made all of these. And every time you go into one of these places, especially in Nevada, they've got this exact
that's right.
alien.
We've sold so many of those stupid things. I mean, thousands upon thousands. We had some order that just had to go out, so we did 2, but we usually fill the room with them. This is actually Paul Blaisdell, original sculpture from the original mold, Invasion of the Saucermen. Back, the film was being made when I was being born. That's how old that is.
What's down there?
We should go down there.
Should we go down there?
Now, or
Yeah, let's go
this
down.
way?
Let's
Yeah,
go
since
down
we're
that
here.
way and we'll go around.
And look at the witches.
They look great.
Those are classic, Wicked Witch and Dirty sculpted her.
I love the tea.
Now, are these ones that are going to get shipped out for this season?
No, this is Foam Masters. A lot of them have fallen off, but we just needed someplace to put them.
And that's where you store them.
Screwed them on the walls.
You just store them on the wall.
Yeah, because they get squished if you stack them, and so it's not a perfect system, though. I can tell you that.
Oh my gosh! Just for everybody who doesn't, since YouTube doesn't offer smell sensation yet. Okay, it smells very strong of latex.
I wonder why, Larry. What do you think that is?
Well, we see a ton of molds, and what the heck? That's a giant mold.
That's
What
a
is
giant
that?
Tree.
A giant tree.
Yeah.
Okay, I bought some of those.
Yeah.
Are those the ones you're talking about? You took at the show?
Yeah. Now the
Rats.
There's new haunted trees.
Alligators, aliens. My goodness.
We are in Mondo Land down
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
And there is a mole.
Yep. Piles and piles of monsters. Look at that pile. It's like a.
Now, are these like pools and they're going to get painted and they're going to get shipped?
Foam Masters. I think they're mostly Foam Masters.
Yeah,
but-
those are masters in that pile.
So when you say master, I mean, this looks like a dragon.
Yes, correct.
But when you say that's a foam master, explain what does that mean?
Well, a foam master is a piece like this, and we'll tape it down to a table, and we'll cover it with plaster and make new molds for production. But this mold's out of the original mold.
So when the mold gets worn out, you make another one.
Yes, correct.
So that one's never getting shipped.
No, not that one.
Look at that, all these gory body parts. So you're saying like everything in here is either, now that looks like a queen alien over there.
Where is that?
Not a queen alien, that looks like a worm or an alien, or is that the
Oh, that's the
dragon's
dragon
tail?
tail,
Okay,
dragon tail.
all right, dragon's tail.
Yeah.
Another variation of the alien.
Love aliens and distortions.
My goodness. If you guys like latex, you would really like it here. It really looks like, you know, if you actually got red paint and you painted all this, it would look like, you know, like an elephant exploded down here. That's what it would look like.
There's so much.
When you see that TV show called The Boys, and it's ultra disgusting, if you just literally added some red paint. Now, let me ask you, what is this? There's a trough here.
Where when they're pouring latex on the table, they'll pour it into the trough, and then they'll squeegee it back into the tank.
So you can reuse it.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. So we've seen the secret lair. So if anybody ever wanted to know where all the molds are, now you know.
There, here's your new dentures. I finished them up for you.
Look at that. That's crazy.
All right.
Boy, the guys that work down here are tough, I'll tell you.
They're rough and
And so what, it's just more of the same over there?
Yeah. This is mold storage over here and sculpting.
So now we're going.
Slam.
There's actually two buildings.
Yes, we do
They're
that
connected
for,
underground and above.
Halloween
And
costumes.
so this is a kind of a mirror
Sun.com.
building that was
Pretty sure
made
we
in the
have sun
20s,
here.
1920.
Yeah.
Yeah, just more molds.
Yeah, this is Mondo's taken over this room.
Holy cow, people, check this out. Like, this is insane. Now, Ed, is there molds in here from 1978?
There is stuff from way back. In fact, keep going back here, Larry. I discovered a magic box here recently. And I removed some of the things, but I don't know if the lighting's good enough for you. And I don't know, you probably can't even get back here, Larry, but I'll show you. This is like an uh-oh. I don't know if I can get back here. This is like an archaeological dig. And we found these things from forever ago. That's from probably 1982 or something. We've got this smiley skull, discontinued.
Oh, wow.
Let's see. This was a thing we made for rubies. They were.
Oh.
Oh, look at that.
heads. So you see out the eyes, you know. I mean out the forehead.
So now that you found this stuff, do you plan on doing anything with it?
Yeah, we'll probably do some limited runs. An old black cat we used to do.
Oh, yeah, that's the...
This one, this is Andromeda 3, I think. Oh, speaking of Batman, this is the Batman we did that we made so many of so fast, and one of his
And that's
gloves.
mold right off the original, right?
Yeah, that's right out of the original
Wow.
mold. Anyway,
What were you
There's a
gonna
lot of
show
cool
Larry
stuff.
down here, Ed?
huh?
You said you were gonna show Larry something.
That's
down
what I'm
here.
showing him right now.
Oh, okay.
This is an old goblin we used to do. I think Steve, who was he?
Steve Johnson, no?
Yeah, Steve Johnson did that. Oh, blasted. He may be in a little bit rough shape.
Oh my
Got a
gosh.
light there, that's helpful.
Hey, you really need to come down here and mold some of this.
Hoover, nobody remembers Hoover, but I remember him. Named after the vacuum.
I think I remember this one because he's got a
yeah.
he's got a hand going.
That is
Out of his
now
mouth.
That one is Jordu's version. That's more recent. That was for the Resurrection series. Anyway, we'll get out of this mess.
Wow.
There's an old rat we did. And there's the T2. We did 3 versions of T2, and that was the final.
That's crazy.
Love it.
Man. Now, let me ask you, Ed, when you need to retrieve one of these molds, I'm assuming you don't pour them down here.
Mondo knows where the stuff is. He comes and has to move it over to that side.
Now, at one time you had a license to do alien stuff, and there's the original alien right there.
Actually, I sculpted this one. This was from Alien 3. And And boy, let me tell you, that was a complicated sculpture, but it's starting to fall apart. That side's falling off.
Have you ever thought about like having an auction to get rid of some of this
You know,
stuff?
it's not a bad idea.
Because I bet you there's a lot of collectors that, because you know what I found, Ed, and I was not aware of this until this year, okay? Because I was selling a bunch of old animations and stuff. And then I found that there's literally collectors of animations from the 90s.
I discovered that recently too. A guy was a collector of animations.
There's your mold of the alien, or the zombie.
Master.
The master,
Yeah.
right there. You get to see it right here. And so, like, I think you would find that there's a big collector market to sell a bunch of this stuff.
Well,
If you weren't going to use it anymore.
Marcia's wanting to clear this place out. We need to make room. So this is a break room for like the downstairs guys, and then this is sculpting. It's pandemonium. We're so busy. We just don't have time to clean up. But anyway.
And looks like a monster under wraps.
Yeah. That's good.
Lots of gloves on the ground.
Oh yeah.
And then you got like heat lamps, I guess, to...
No, those are just lights.
Those are just lights?
Yeah.
And guess what we see in here, folks? More speakers.
Yeah, well.
There's speakers everywhere.
Those are
1,
pretty-
2, 3,
Pretty minimal
4,
compared to upstairs.
5, 6.
Yeah.
There's 6 of them down here.
Yeah, but they're minor.
Yeah, considering like your room, you could have a full-blown concert there.
You know, I do have enough to do a concert, but it's certainly enough to blow my ears off.
All right, so there's one more building.
Yeah,
Yes.
we're going upstairs. We're in the building.
So we went under the tunnel to this building. This is the brick building.
Oh, so is this the last building?
Yes.
Yes.
And then what do we have right away?
That's from the TV show. That was the piece I wanted to be a mascot. This is, you can't see it too well, Larry, but we've got the Usti from the Star Trek Continues that we did. That was an actual costume that lights up. The Dick Van Dyke head with Dick's voice.
Oh, cool.
Bigfoot, the costume that was sold by Amy, and Amy did the original, you know, the Patterson video, one of the 5 most significant, most watched videos in the world. She sewed that, Amy Morris, and for me, and she'd done the original. That's Ask the Brain.
And what's this?
This is it's one of those bookcases that spins, and so I do Monster Tales in front of that occasionally.
Who made the mask and the costume for the Bigfoot hoax for Morris?
That was a gorilla outfit, and Patterson actually, I guess he was a leather worker, so somehow he formed leather and made the mask, you know, made it look like Bigfoot and gave it breasts. And
Now, what happens up here?
well, this is cutting, and this is Lorraine's territory. She manages shipping stuff out. Janine also
Boxes.
shipping, and then she cuts and.
But I thought these get painted downstairs.
What's that?
Don't these get...
Cutting.
So you cut them before you
gotta
paint
cut
them?
and then we take them in and paint.
Oh, okay. And then when they get shipped, do they come back up here?
Back here to be shipped.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's some inventory. We're trying to build inventory.
Yes, we're trying.
But
We got some dinosaurs we're building up for a big dinosaur run.
Now, you know, we bought your Raptor and we put it in our escape room, and it's freaking phenomenal.
Oh, good.
And then we also sold them to mini golfs,
Oh, nice.
which I think, man, you could sell those all day long.
Oh, yeah.
And I see you got a Slimer. Is that something you
Yeah,
sell?
We do that. It's not our license. We do it for fun and Halloween costumes.
so yeah, fun.com. You can.
Yeah, I've got a painted
Buy
one
the
over
slime.
here. You can look at. This is some modern electric chairs we made.
Now, let's just talk about that for 1 second. You pretty much abandoned the electric chair at one point and made other things, but then you came back to it.
Yeah, well, we always loved it, and we did many different varieties. When we hit Shake and Bake, It's like you can't get any better than that. That guy thrashes and smokes and everything, and so that's kind of, we sell some of those every year. But Larry, when I first remember meeting you the first time, it was in front of a prop that I'm going to show you.
Okay.
The original prop that it was at Transworld in 1995.
Oh,
Now,
Okay.
unfortunately, I don't know if we can get back there. That is the one that went to the show. The
Oh
guy
my
that
God.
bought it off the trade show floor calls us up and says, "I have the original electric chair." And I said, "Oh, you got one of the early ones?" He said, "No, I got the one off the floor when you first premiered it." And that's it. It should be in a museum, and instead, it's sitting there rotting.
So you're saying that right there
Yes,
yeah.
is the electric chair.
that changed the industry. And you saw it, and I remember you came in the booth and you sat in the alien chair that was near it, and you said, "Well, I like it, but you should use data strobes." Do
Yeah.
you remember that?
Yeah.
And I said, "Can't use data strobes, it's too expensive." But anyway, that was the chair that you saw back when we first met.
Which I think is 96,
96 maybe.
I believe.
How many years is that?
What are you going to do with it?
I don't know. It belongs in a museum, but I don't know yet.
Wow. The original electric chair. Hold on a second. I think I can get a little
Get a
closer.
little closer.
And there's a raptor.
Trying to get closer, folks.
Here we go.
Don't hurt yourself, Larry.
So Ed, I see it's missing
A hand.
a hand.
He came here with both hands.
And that's the one you took to Transworld.
That is the one, and I know it.
1995.
When we brought it in house, it was made in a way that we knew that was it. Well, first of all, it's elevated. We had it elevated to show. It's all our original welding, so that is it. There's no doubt. Now he cut the skulls off for some reason. I think his ceiling was too low.
Now, were you excited to get it back?
Sort of, but it's just more junk.
Have you thought about restoring it and putting it in your lobby?
I don't think I would restore it. I would just clean it up. It's kind of like the hole in Willie Nelson's guitar. You don't fix that. So I would just fix it up, and clean it up.
And then I haven't seen this one in a long time.
Yeah.
The guillotine. Do you still make them?
Well, this one was actually the one we made for Alice Cooper, and he used it in the Brutal Planet.
So this was actually used in his tour?
Yeah, it's been changed. We shortened this up, and he had a real blade. We changed it to rubber because we were using it for a performance.
And then
I want to do that.
I saw, look at this big old T-Rex. Now I've ordered several of these
Yeah.
for mini golfs. Now, how in the hell do you get something this big downstairs to ship it?
Well, we are on ground level right now.
Oh, you're on ground level, okay.
So no, we don't take it downstairs. It does get sprayed downstairs, and it's brought up the ramp that we went down, and then it stays up from then on.
Now I remember your follow-up to the electric chair was something that I think I saw around the corner over here. It was a shaking kind of Frankenstein kind of monster.
Oh.
That's what you came out year 2 after the electric chair.
Like both.
Well,
It looked like this. It looked like this guy, and he was leaning up against the wall, and he would shake and thrash around.
It wasn't that guy. That's a different prop. But yeah, Bolt was, what did we call him? Assault and battery. Yeah. So that was one of our big old props. We've got a new Frankenstein. I think it's really good. So anyway,
Is that the whole tour?
that's pretty much it.
That's
If we
pretty
went
much
up the
it?
attic, we'd probably
don't wanna go in
be
the attic.
sneezing because of the dust. But there's 2 attics here. But yeah, this is our home. This is what we do.
You spend 80% of your life right here, so it's like here and sleeping.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's pretty much it, Larry. It's a sad, pitiful life. But I'm glad that you came to visit our humble abode.
Do any of your kids work for you guys?
Yes.
Adam does. Ryan does. All of them have served their time, and I think for the most part they realize this is not what they wanted to do for a living because it's very hard.
But so what is the future of Distortions?
We're
Do you
just
have a
gonna keep
plan?
going.
You're going to
Well,
keep going till the end?
have
We're
a
gonna
rough
be
plan.
working, yeah.
We thought about retiring because we're at that age, and then we thought we'd go out of our minds with boredom, and we're having so much fun. I just don't know when it'll end. I mean, obviously, it's going to have to end. You know,
And let's just say next year you woke up and you said, yeah, I think we're going to move to Florida. Even though you're not. It's just a popular place, okay? So let's just say that was what you were going to do. Or are you going to move out in the countryside and raise sheep or whatever? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What would you do with this company? Is there like your kids have no interest? Your
No, the
workers
kids aren't gonna
maybe?
run it. No, I doubt it. I suppose we would look at selling at some point because it would be nice to have it carry on. You know, we put so much into it, and we love it, and but you never know. You don't know what the future holds, and you know. But we're at least thinking about the future, even though we haven't gotten any contracts.
You know, I'll tell you something. When I first started The Darkness was 1994. And, and then and I've told this story before, and it has nothing to do with Distortions, but, I was looking to start my own haunt, and I was looking around downtown, because of course you're always looking for abandoned something,
some warehouse.
And when I saw that the building, the Darkness originally went in, it was like an abandoned building, and all the windows were boarded up and everything. And then the guy, he was running, he still had a baby carriage company, and he was just using that for storage.
Oh, that's wild.
And he says, oh no, I have a for sale sign on it, because that's why I tried to come in, because it said for sale. And he says, that scares the unions away. That's
How funny.
The place absolutely looked abandoned. And then on the side of the building, it says, and it faces the new Darkness building, okay? And it says, you can see it, it's still painted on there, even though it's an apartment now. It says Sunshine Factory. And that's where the name The Darkness came from, because we're like, the guy was so cheap, he had no light bulbs. And there was holes in the floor for conveyors, that go down and up and everything, and you could literally die in there. And I was like, sunshine? It's like complete darkness in here, and that's where it came from. But
Brilliant.
that guy, he's now passed away, but I think he passed away in his 80s. But he was like still working in his late 70s. Yeah. He was working the haunted house. He was running the baby carriage, and then he closed the baby carriage. But he would tell me, I would say, Dave, what are you doing this for? You're like 78 years old. You're still working every day. He comes in 5 days a week. And he said to me, he goes, Larry, I've always thought, like, if I stop working, I'll die.
He's actually correct. The odds are people die 2 years after retirement.
And he said, I'm going to work until I'm dead. Yeah. But he didn't actually do that. Yeah. He did eventually retire, sold everything, moved to Florida, and played golf every day.
Geez.
So, but yeah, that's how he went out, playing golf.
Yeah.
I can't even hardly hit that little ball. But no, we love it, and we're having so much fun.
And by the way, I only asked that not because of age or anything, but when you look back and you look at what's happened to Ruby's and Morris Costumes, and I don't even know if Cinema Secrets is still a business or...
I should know that. I think they are, but they were certainly last time we were out there. We went to.
And I don't know about Gag. I mean, they went away. And you think about like VP Productions, the first company that was making those little animations. There's so many like of those OG companies gone, and you're probably like the only last standing OG in the haunted house business.
We're too stupid to quit, huh, honey?
So I'm just wondering,
Love it too much.
for somebody who might watch this video, like say 10 years from now, okay, will Distortions like be, entertaining people for another 50 years?
I don't know. I hope so.
At least, at least 10.
I hope so.
Larry just recently did a video where he was talking about giving yourselves attainable goals, right?
Yes.
And then, knock them down. And you guys, that's all you do. You just knock down your goals, and keep it going, and it's rolling, and you've had so much success throughout the years that, it's got to be a question. That's, for Larry to ask that, that's, probably one of the reasons, like, what more could you do anyway? You've done
it all.
Thank you.
But Ed, here's the thing, because the battery's about to die.
Oh, yes.
But here's the thing, Ed. Like, you're like the OG company now. And what's really strange about it all is that there's so many competitors out there now, like, because the industry's really grown. It got its own trade show. And I tell people all the time, it's like about how instrumental, especially myself, in breaking away from that retail show. And I think it was the best thing that ever happened to the haunted house industry. But like, you've been doing this for so long, and like, you're doing better today than you've ever done in your whole history. Why is that?
Well, the world changed and we changed too. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah. One key reason is our amazing staff.
That's
I just
true.
have to
Yeah.
give a shout out to our whole
Yeah, that's
crew.
not being nice. I mean,
No,
these
I
guys
mean,
know, they've worked with us
amazing.
so long. They know what they do so well that we can just come up with a crazy idea. It's like Mondo's like, okay, I know what I got to do. Mike's like, yeah, I think I can figure it out. You know, it's just an amazing
And
thing.
we've got great customers.
And you've really
We love
branded
our
yourself.
customers,
We
yeah.
do. What's that?
You've really embraced social media,
Yeah.
like to a degree that none of the other vendors have.
Branding in general.
Well, they're hot on our tail, but yeah,
Yeah.
we not only do we like doing it, but it's like the Wild West. I mean, you can do anything and reach the whole world. You know, you can if you do something really cool and it goes semi-viral, you can be people are watching in Switzerland. It's an amazing thing.
Well, thanks for the tour here, Ed, and,
Thanks, Larry.
and going down memory lane.
Yes.
Thanks for coming,
Yeah, it's a
Larry,
long
and Patty.
lane.
And I, as this, and you know, people are going to say I'm cutting you off or whatever, but I'm not cutting them off.
no.
The battery's going to die, and we're trying to wrap up this video because I want to say something because, like, I always tell people, like, you know, you have all these YouTubers and they'll come out and they'll, like, you know, and they'll be like, you know, I know like Brick Thunder, for example,
yeah.
were here, but like, the only, like, when you get somebody like myself to come here, you know what I mean, that literally was there.
Yeah.
Even though you had already been in business for 15 years or whatever, it really started in the mid 90s, you know, for the haunted house industry.
We saw it all.
And I was right there.
We saw it go from paper skeletons to what it is.
And I was there when I first saw that electric chair.
Yeah.
I saw you.
And I'm not saying I'm the only one, but when somebody like myself comes and does a video, they understand a little bit more of the history of the haunted house industry. Now, I'll tell you, Ed, real quick, I know some goofballs, and they are goofballs.
Okay.
Okay, there's these 3 goofballs, and they're going to be watching this video, and they're going to know who they are because they tried to pry. They literally begged, they cried, they got on their hands and knees and begged for that one animation where you had the window, and the guy was in the window, and the curtain blows out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they want that so bad. And I happen to have one sitting on a shelf. And I said, no, I'm going to hang on to that because
Right.
I don't know if they make that anymore, and I'm going to hang on to it. But I'm only playfully saying they're goofballs. I bet you they would pay you.
Yeah.
They would work for you. They would clean your house. They would do anything to get that electric chair over there. How does it make you feel like that you made this electric chair and then another thing that became very popular that was not popular at the time, otherwise you would have keep making it, was that Ride the Lightning chair.
Yeah.
Right? And there's a whole Facebook page dedicated to the owners of the Ride the Lightning.
That's crazy.
But how does it make you feel like that some of your props that you literally made 25 years ago, people are paying more for them to buy the originals today than they did when you sold them?
Well, for me, it's very gratifying. You know, when like I mentioned along the way, we didn't get to communicate with people that bought the stuff. We communicated with retailers that sold the stuff that really didn't care. They were in it for the buck mostly. And that's been wonderful to have people say, you know, because of you, you know, I'm in the business and I love it and and you know, the people that collect our stuff over the years, I thought it'd all be gone, and then you know, people have these incredible collections. Yeah, it's a very heartwarming situation, at least for me.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, what do you think about, because there is a collector market now, and Marcia told us that 75% of your stuff is sold to home haunters, right? It's a market that didn't even really exist in
Right.
1995 or
Right.
4 or whatever.
Right.
Okay. What do you think about like coming out with like a classic line
Of animatronics?
of the ones that you like? You don't make the alligator that rushes out anymore, do you?
No,
I don't think so.
It's not available. Right?
But not just the animatronics, just the props themselves.
Yeah, well, yeah, we do still make the alligator after all these years.
Yeah.
We cast the real
Yeah.
thing, and that fiberglass mold is still.
No, but I'm talking about like some of those classic props that you used to sell in the 90s and 80s. And like, for example, Ride the Lightning. Why couldn't you make some more of those?
We could.
You could? Have you ever thought about it? Were you even aware that people want to buy
I had
those?
no idea, and You know, they sure didn't want to buy them when we made them. We sold, I don't know how many of those you think we sold, half a dozen or something.
Oh, more than that.
Did we?
but
Okay.
Yeah, maybe 10 or 12
Yeah.
or something.
Now the big one, the big hot seat, that was like 10 grand for that. Back in the day when 10 grand was a lot of money.
Yeah, I have the hot seat.
The big one you step
Oh,
up
that's
onto?
cool.
Yeah, that you sit in and ride.
Yeah, but is it the one you have to go upstairs
Yeah.
to?
Yeah.
Well, you've got one of the very few, Larry. That's
How many of them
amazing.
are there?
Ooh, of that one, not too many, yeah.
I would imagine just a few. I don't know, 3 or
Maybe,
4.
Maybe.
What's the difference between Ride of Lightning and hot seat?
Well, the hot seat is just way more elaborate. It's got a video screen and it's got a more sophisticated control system. The hot seat is just our electric chair that moves and smokes and you throw the switch and it vibrates you and things. I hand
And
things
you're
to you.
saying you didn't even make what? Not even 10?
Well, Marcia thinks we made more. I don't know how many.
Now I'm here to tell you, and we need to have a, like a breaking news for Distortions. Okay. Is it possible that you would bring that back to Transworld next year?
Oh,
Ride the Lightning?
Mm-hmm.
oh, wow.
You know, that is a thought. We made one recently for a guy, last year, in fact. It was not that chair specifically,
No.
but I should ask him how that went. But that would be a fun thought to bring that back.
You know, I'm not taking credit for this because I didn't build it. You guys
I
did.
thought you said you wanted 10% off every
Yeah,
sale.
I do. I want 10% of everything. But the trans world, I'm just, has been in St. Louis since the infancy, the very
Yeah.
beginning of the whole show started in St. Louis, and so we've been doing tours, and we've had that hot seat in there for every tour.
Wow.
Okay. And Patty over here will tell you, because she worked at the Darknet, she works, in the gift store area a lot, and she's in that back area. How many people jump on that thing and ride it and take videos and throw it on Instagram?
It's excellent. Yeah, anytime anybody rides it, it becomes an entire. Everybody's got their camera phones.
Oh,
out.
wow.
You know,
That's
if they ham it
interesting.
up, it's
Oh,
really
yeah.
effective. Because we had a Boy Scout troop in here, and one of the gals that was one of the leaders, she got on it and hammed it up. And that kid, one of the kids, lost it. He was so devastated. It was like they had to take him home, and it kind of put
Poor
a downer
guy.
on the whole night.
Poor
But
guy.
because she was like,
Huh.
ah.
Because when you think about
She's
it,
dead.
back when that prop came out, and I don't even know what year it was, but maybe it was 2000, something
yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
There was no social media.
Yeah, right.
Okay, and people would be buying that for what reason exactly? Oh, we're going to charge $5. It would take you a decade to get the money back,
Right,
right?
right.
And I think I even had that conversation with you.
You might have, I don't know.
And you were like, "Well, Larry, it's like I just bought it because it was cool."
I sounded like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah.
Well, Larry, I just don't know what that's going to sound.
but when you think about it today, right? When you think about it today with social media, people would buy it just to put their logos behind it for people to film it and put it on Instagram. I think it would have a bigger, it would be a bigger impact than it was when it first
Yeah,
came
but
out.
You have
Probably
one,
so.
and your logo's not even behind the one you have.
No, I did put a logo behind it.
Oh, you did. When did
Yeah.
you do that?
You can go see it. Okay? It says Instagram. But do you kind of see what I'm saying?
I do
Enough
see what
and
you're
I
saying, and Larry, I'm going to write it down because sometimes you have a really good idea, and that's one of them.
Maybe you could upgrade it. And
I was
Yes.
thinking that very
Yes.
thing as you're talking. I'm thinking, yeah, what if we took it to the next level? And
now let me
Oh.
ask you this: what is another prop that you think is in the graveyard? Okay,
Oh,
that
so
maybe it needs a second chance.
So many. Now, there's a reason it's in the graveyard sometimes, and oftentimes
Yeah.
it's because Mike doesn't like to build it.
right,
Painters don't want to paint it, or whatever.
yeah, there's usually good reasons.
So yeah.
Or they just didn't sell. But there is a different world out there. And for instance, when we did Giger's Alien, that mask, I tried to sell that to retailers. It was $85, and they would say to me, $85. I'd have to sell that for $170. Nobody's going to spend $170 for a Halloween mask. I said, well, I'll try to talk like, yeah, but it's really popular, and H.R. Giger's a Swedish surrealist, and it was one of the greatest movie monsters of all time. And they just, nah. And the ones that did buy it, they said, well, I'm just going to buy it. Nobody's going to buy it, but I'll just put it in the store for a display. And so I knew the guys that did buy it, and it was precious few. And so the next year at the show, I'd say, so, what happened to that alien you bought? Oh, I sold it right away. And I said, why didn't you buy another one? Well, it was this sci-fi nerd. I knew I'd never sell another one. I couldn't beat it through. The last one that sold to the Metallica guy. What's his name? Kirk Hammond. Over 10 grand. And so things change. So maybe your idea has some merit, Larry. Maybe it'll be a hot item.
Now I'll throw another one out at you.
Okay.
This was when the camera died. I was telling you about the 3 goofballs.
Oh, yeah.
And they are kind of goofy, okay? And all they do...
Aren't we goofy, Larry?
No, they collect animations, okay? And now they're going to watch this video and go, oh my God, I can't believe you were talking about us. But anyway, they literally rent.
Yeah.
These 2 guys, they live in the same town. They split the rent on a big, giant metal building, and they put their animations in there. And I said, well, what do you do with them? We just watch them activate.
And
I'm like,
they're all old.
Yes, they're all old.
Wow.
And they collect them, and then they try to refurbish them, and they're all nice and neat. And they have at least 2 electric chairs that I know of, the original ones. Okay, and they have a lot of Distortions, and they're huge fans of Distortions and Scare Factory and whatever. But anyway, they were milling around through my place, because I've got like a little, graveyard of stuff as well. And they got so infatuated with that window animation,
oh my gosh,
where there's like a screaming guy, and then there's a window, and then it just blows the curtains open.
There he is, yeah.
They offered me more money for it than I ever paid for it.
Yes.
Okay? Now that made me think, wait a minute, there really is a collector market for Distortions classic props.
Yes.
And when we think about like some of the ones that you made a long, long time ago, and you took the electric chair and you reimagined it now, I think, at least 2 times?
Oh, no, probably
3
4
times?
or 5 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there another prop that maybe you could reimagine besides the hot seat we talked about?
I'm sure there is.
What do you think it would be?
Larry, I'll have to let you know. There's so many.
I don't want to
Jack in the
mention.
Box.
I don't want to mention Creepy the Clown, but there's a little group of people that are rabid about Creepy
He used
the
to
Clown.
blow up a balloon, and
whenever I mention that, like in a meeting,
there's just groans.
yeah,
'cause
people
nobody
are like,
wants to
no,
build it.
not Creepy the Clown.
Yeah.
What do you think about that window? Making that window?
I don't know, Larry. I think I didn't really like that product. I don't know.
I like the sculpt.
Now I will say this: I gave a talk on the history of animatronics in the industry at what show was it? East Coast.
East Coast,
Yeah.
maybe, or yeah.
But anyway, they surprised me. They brought in one of the original electric chairs from the first 6 months or so, and I was like, whoa! I haven't seen one of those for a long time. And they turned it on, and they turned it on at the start of the thing. And I was busy thinking about, I had to talk and things. But then at the end, the last question was, will you turn it on again? And the entire audience got up with their phones and filmed this thing like it was some sacred event. And the second time they ran it, he ripped his hose out toward the end. And then they said, can you run it again? And they ran it again, and now the hose was flailing around. He's screaming and smoking, and it finally hit me. It's like, wow, no wonder people like this. It was really an amazing moment, and it hit me, and I'm pretty jaded after all these years. I don't know about you, Larry, but I'm pretty jaded, and it really kind of hit me that, wow, I can see why this did what it did, because it's pretty cool. But of course, that version ripped off a lot of heads. We had to replace 100 bodies the first year.
What's the biggest thing you've learned from all your mistakes of making props and animations for the haunted house
See, that's
industry?
the problem. We haven't learned from our mistakes. We keep making them, Larry. Well, to build them tough, because if we have to return them to repair them, we've lost all our profit. So that's one thing we do, not because we're good people, just because we don't want to have to repair them and lose money. So we build stuff brutally strong, and it makes it kind of heavy sometimes. But
Yeah, and over the years, customer service, we've really found that out, that how
Yeah.
important that is.
you gotta answer that phone. You can't play
We
hide
don't
and
always
seek.
answer the phone, but.
Well, it's not because we're not answering; it's because Janine's out in production or something. But
But
yeah,
we try.
Do you look forward to going to
Right.
Transworld every year?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, but yeah, that's to me, it's like a love fest. Everybody's so nice, and we get to have people look at the things we've created and hope they like them, and I don't know, it's a really cool event.
You know, when you make like new stuff, like just like the figures and stuff, everything seems to be kind of classic monsters. Like London After Midnight. Most people don't even know who that is,
Yeah.
but you seem to gravitate. Is that just because you're a fan of the genre? Because I notice like fans of the genre really always still go back to Bela Lugosi. They go back to Boris Karloff. They go back to all that. And it seems like every time you make something, it's always has something to do with the origins of horror.
Yeah, oftentimes.
Well, I am a fan of those original characters. Like you can't beat Frankenstein. That was Jack Pierce came up with that idea, and it's remained to this day. And that movie's 100 years old almost by now. So yeah, but that's not really why we do it. What we found by being able to communicate with our end users is that part of what drives them is they love the classics. So, and that can even be just pumpkins, because we all grew up carving pumpkins. And so we've had, I don't know, 5 or 6 years where every year we come out with pumpkin stuff. And in fact, if you look at the show this last year, pumpkins were everywhere. It's a combination of modernizing it to something new, but reaching back to classic. And so there is something powerful about that, tipping the hat to what came before in the history of it that we're trying to nail. But like when we do a scarecrow, it's unlike any other scarecrow, but it's certainly based on the past of people. That's just a classic monster.
And the legends actually started with Nosferatu.
Yeah.
Jordu Shell recommended that to us, and he sculpted it.
Yeah.
He also sculpted Edgar Allan Poe. So
Yeah.
a lot of that,
Perfect example of what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Exactly, and that's a broader audience. Edgar Allan Poe. It's not just for monster museums and things. There's a lot of people that like him. So yeah, we're experimenting a lot, and trying to come up with interesting things that we think people would want. But it's.
Do you think Distortions will ever get back? Because you used to be big in the business of licensing. You know, you had Queen Alien, you had
That got
Alien.
Licensing got destroyed when there were companies like Ruby's that could pay $100,000 upfront fee and then, guarantee, whatever, $500,000 in sales. The kind of things we were making, you're not going to sell those kind of numbers, full body displays and things. And so we left that for the most part because it just got too commercial and too big. Ruby's could sell, 10,000, mass of some character from a movie or something, and what the kind of things we make, they're too expensive to sell those kind of numbers.
Yeah, when we talk about all the companies that, it's almost like Academy Awards, they have the, in memorial, we think about like back to 1994 and all that, and Phil Morris wearing his red jacket.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Those were the days.
Yeah,
let me tell ya.
and all the big parties, the Ruby's parties,
Yes,
where they
yes.
would and everybody tried to sneak in and everything. And I remember even taking Patty, and we got our picture with Hercules and
I remember one
Xena.
year I was dressed to go to Transworld in a red jacket, and he's like, "You can't wear that.
Oh,
You
wow.
look like you belong in Morris. Go change." And I was
Nothing
like,
wrong
"I
with
didn't think of that."
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with
You're a
being in the
Morris
Morris
person.
booth.
But the funny part is like all the companies you've lost, all the people you've
Yeah,
lost along
yeah.
the way. And when you think about like the companies like Ruby's, like who would have ever thought back in even in 2000
Yeah.
that Ruby's would, essentially go bankrupt?
Yeah.
Like what happened in your opinion?
I don't know,
I
really.
think when COVID hit, so much of their business was licensed products, and the movies all got delayed or pushed back, did not come out, and that's what I heard is that really.
And then
that
the other
really
thing
hurt.
is probably their biggest money makers were like a Princess and a Pirate, and Walmart started making their own, Target started making their
Maybe
own.
that too, yeah.
Yeah, and then you've got Amazon. They kind of just took it over.
Well, and a company like Ruby's or Morris, I mean, they're making tremendous amounts of money, hundreds of millions. And so if there's a glitch and it's, and suddenly the machine they built up of, buying and selling and committing and the house of cards collapses, it's much harder than if a small company just kind of like, well, I guess we'll,
Who
toughen up.
owns Ruby's now?
It's Decca.
Yeah,
isn't it?
it's a toy company.
That's right, Decca.
Yeah.
And then Oriental Trading Company is still kicking.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think it was a real good move for Morris. I think.
Whatever
it was
happened to
time.
that other company that used to sell the haunted house, big giant mask? Was it called Charades?
Oh
or-
no, Elusive Concepts.
Yeah, what happened to them?
They, the last time I heard, Mario Chiodo was doing a gigantic, like a relief of past presidents or something. I think he made a couple $1 million to sculpt this thing, and Bill Clinton was there checking out. I didn't see that, but I heard Bill Clinton came out to check his image and see if he liked it. So he had done work in Las Vegas, and I honestly have lost contact with him. He contacted us one point about doing some $600 monsters or something, and we just couldn't really do it for the money. But I have no idea what's
But
going on.
Elusive
in the last
Concepts
5
is
years.
done. They're gone.
I don't know.
I don't know. I certainly haven't seen anything out of him. I mean, he may have kept the brand name and he may do something. But I haven't heard a peep out of him.
Do you ever go to the Halloween Expo?
Yeah, we're not showing there, we're not vending there, but we go out.
Yeah,
It's
occasionally.
so much
See what's going
smaller.
on.
It has gotten smaller. It was like walking the distance of a football field 50 times. That old show. You'd look down. Oh my gosh! It's just one row of men.
Yeah, it's
It was
smaller-
massive.
smaller
Yeah, it
now.
was massive.
Now let me ask you a question, since we're like reminiscing. A lot of people like that whine on the internet. I hate to say the word whine, but they do it. I'm not talking about drinking, like red wine. I'm talking about like cry.
Yeah.
Okay. But they don't understand, how all these things came about.
Yeah.
Okay. And how much different things are, and all the hurdles it took to get to where it is today. But do you think it was better for the haunted house industry to break off of the retail show?
It was bad for the retail show. It was good for the haunters. We were like
Yeah.
the haunters were like the redhead stepchild,
Yeah.
and the guys like Ruby's, they just want to come and sit in a quiet environment at a table with buyers. They write their whole order for the year, and they didn't like the smoke. They didn't like the noise and the screams, and they didn't like the actors coming in and grabbing their catalogs that cost $10 each, and every of the 20 actors from a haunt came through, and they kept trying to get rid of the haunts. They moved us upstairs at one point, and then more recently, Mark Beige had started coming around to St. Louis, and it's like, because I think that show was kind of diminishing. I'm not saying anything bad about it. It's still a very nice show, but it was diminishing from the strength it was, and Transworld was growing, and I think he was curious about that, and he also came to see our stuff because he was buying stuff for his stores and stuff. And I think they just didn't understand that noise and craziness actually made people want to go to that trade show, and it made the thing alive. It was noisy and smoky and weird, but I think it it was great when it was all together, but it's been better to not have that faction fighting against,
Yeah, definitely.
you know, the noise and the smoke and I mean, we come home every night almost hoarse from shouting all day, but it's, I don't know, it's exciting. I like it.
You know, because I'll tell a funny story. I don't know if I ever said this on video. Scott Morris was standing right there. And I got into a big old, you know me. I'm a very nice guy. I don't argue with anybody.
Very
no.
blunt.
I'm very blunt, okay? And I'm sitting here talking to the Rubies, the head guy at Rubies. I don't remember what his name was. He's the owner, or he was the
Joel
CEO.
Beige.
Yeah, Joel Beige.
Or
Howie.
Mark. Well, Joel was old. Mark and Howie were the most recent. But yeah, those were the.
So I was talking to him, okay? It was in Chicago. And you know me, like, you know, I'm just going to tell you what I think. And I, like, literally give him a piece of my mind. And I told him, I was like, do you know how dumb it is for you to act this way towards haunted houses? I'm like, the most exciting thing at this show is the haunted houses. And you know what else I told him? I said, you know, the people that you sell to should be paying people like me tens of thousands of dollars to promote. You know, and I said, like, I remember even telling him, I was like, the only reason why your industry's booming right now is because of haunted houses, because we've taken it out of trick-or-treating and we've grown it into adults through haunted houses. And we're like the ones making it popular. And then you just want to throw us out of here, okay? And how, you know, shameful that is. And I told him, like, you know, the best thing that any haunted retailer could do is partner with a haunted house.
Yeah.
Right? And dive on to their attendance, dive on to their marketing. And I remember even telling the guy, I was like, do you know what your customers do? They go into a mall, they put up a sign, and they just have people walk in. You know what a haunted house does? It goes out there and promotes the industry because it buys advertising. This is what I told him. And I was just literally telling him how it is. And then after we were done, Scott Morris goes, do you know who you were talking to? That's the owner of Ruby's. And I said, yeah, I know who I'm
That's
talking
hilarious.
to. Now, it wasn't, but like a couple of years after that is when I was like, enough's enough. And you know this, like from when all went down. And I was like trying to get us out of there. And I was calling you. And I was calling David Falkman. I was calling Michael Shaley. We all got to stick together because remember how they were trying to make wristbands for haunters?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
and you
yeah,
can't
that
go.
was horrible.
it was so bad.
And you remember John Wolfe? And you remember John Wolfe? He was running Transworld at the time with Mark Passis.
Oh, yeah.
And I was literally telling John Wolfe, I was like, John, what are you going to do? Put like guards at the retail section?
Yeah.
I'm like, John, what are you doing? Okay, and you know what? You know why they got rid of the wristband thing? Because I said, well, John, because I remember organizing a meeting at the very first MHC, and you flew in for it, okay? And I didn't go to the MHC. I just remember it was at a baseball stadium. We had a room, and we all talked. There was about 20 vendors showed up for that. Remember that?
Right.
Phil was there. Phil was there because I said, Phil, I really want you to come to this meeting, and he did. Phil Morris.
And then after I got the go ahead, because you know I'm the pit bull, you know, and that's what I've always been. I went back to John Wolfe and I said, well, I got bad news for you. Okay, every vendor said they're not displaying with you next year. We're not going to buy your $2,500 booths. We're done. We're going to start our own show. Wait a minute. And they got rid of the wristbands, right? And then, but you know, it was just another thing, and it was time. And then when they decided. I believe that because I remember talking to Jen's father, and he told me Rubies and all those guys were the ones that demand that it goes to Las Vegas.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to pull this full circle about St. Louis, but because I want to get your opinion. But they said that no, it has to move to Las Vegas, which made it very unreachable for a lot of the haunted house people because, you know, but we didn't have a lot of money back then.
Right.
And the vendors, that's too far to travel. And they did that was 1 year.
1 year.
Oh, yeah.
And that was the last year that Transworld had the show. Remember? Because the very next one, they moved it back to Chicago, and they had already yanked it out, and I think they went to New Orleans, or they went to Houston, or wherever they went.
Right.
In Texas.
And then some of the straggler people were hanging on to Transworld. And I remember going to Transworld and talking to Jen's dad. I'm like, nah, we don't want to do the dying retail show. We need our own show.
We don't want to go down with the ship.
We don't want to go down with the ship.
Right.
Joe,
Right, that ship was
Right,
sinking.
right.
you know, I've gotten to know
We're-
Joe recently over the years, and
He's a smart guy.
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
very smart, and he's he's really helping and supporting Jen, and the management before were pretty difficult, and I think part of it may have been Ruby's, and those guys were, we want the show this way, and we were smaller, compared to Ruby's, whatever Ruby's
Yeah.
was doing, and
Yeah.
some of those big
Cater to them.
companies, of course you're going to cater to those guys, but yeah, it was messy. And that meeting you're talking about, I knew that was a pivotal time. We were going to have to pull away and do something. And
Were you nervous when there was no more Trans World? Meaning in Chicago, were you nervous?
I don't remember.
We weren't at the time. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
but I tend to not worry about stuff. I just see what happens and then go with the flow.
You remember
I
the
should
very
worry.
first Trans World? At St. Louis. I'm talking about the
St.
St.
Louis.
Louis.
The attraction show. Very first
I
attraction.
remember it.
Transworld.
I remember.
It was like 50,000 square feet.
Huh.
Yeah, and I remember we went to dinner. I think it was at that first one with Joe, and you were like demanding, we want, this and that. And I'm thinking, Larry, you're talking to the big guy here. You should be a little more diplomatic. But you're like, I want this, I want that. And he said, sure, we'll do that. We'll do that. It's like,
A bulldozer.
I would have, if I was Joe, I don't know. I think I would just say, I'm not going to do it just because of that guy making me mad. But I think they knew
Huh?
that you were right, and I think, and it worked out very well.
Yeah, and Vegas was just a fail.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
it was a good show for us in a sense, but that
But
was
I mean,
not
for
where it needed to
everyone,
be.
yeah,
I don't,
Vegas was not
I don't
good.
like a show in any city like that's got so many distractions. Even Florida, I'm not into. I think it's better to be like at Rosemont or St. Louis or something where there's not so many distractions. There's enough going on with the show to not have to.
Now let me ask you, pulling full circle, the show went to Vegas, it was in Chicago, the Halloween Expo has moved multiple times, okay? They have literally done, and if you don't recall, I don't know if you remember this, before Transworld ever took the whole show to Vegas, they did a supplement show in Vegas. Remember, it was at Circus. Remember, when they still had the whole show in Chicago, they did a smaller Halloween only show, and they did it in Vegas. That was like their first step. It was in Circus.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, I remember it. I went.
Was I there?
I don't remember.
See, the thing
I don't
is,
remember.
We've
We
done
were-
so much of this. I've forgotten so much.
To wrap everything up, Ed, and I wanted to thank you and Marcia for doing this video. And I think it's a real important video because, we're running down the memory lane and bringing people up to speed. And I just want to say, people have asked me, how I really got started doing this was doing these videos. Because I was the one who was originally making all the videos and selling them and putting, and I
That's
had
right.
well.
That's right.
stuff. I had Brutal Planet on there. I had
Yeah.
your mask making. It's still live. There's a video of it on a Haunt World video.
Nice.
And Patty was the one who shipped all the videos. Remember that? Right?
That's
Oh, boy.
right.
Yeah.
A lot
And
of fun.
we had converted them from VHS to DVD.
That's so cool.
And we hadn't been selling those Haunt World videos forever. And we're so busy with everything else. We're like, oh, we're not going to
They
sell
were
these.
still selling when you started putting them up.
And I was just like,
They just
ah.
didn't sell as much. I mean, who has a DVD?
Yeah, DVD
Yeah, right.
player
I
now.
know, I do. But
Right.
And we just took them off the website. And we stopped selling them and everything. And then I just seen on Facebook, somebody reminiscing about them. And I was like, I wonder if we could rip those and just throw one on the Haunt World YouTube. I hadn't uploaded a video to the Haunt World YouTube in years. Okay. And so I just threw it up there and the industry just went crazy.
Yeah.
And it got, I don't even know, 3,000 views or something, which 3,000 views doesn't seem like a lot for a big YouTuber, but you're talking about a small industry,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so I was like, oh, okay, people like this.
Yeah,
so,
2-hour videos.
Yeah.
and so then I started uploading a few more. And by the way, speaking of immemorial, the guy who made the very first haunted house video was Dr. John. And, he recently passed away. And he gave me permission to take his video and upload it.
wow.
And so my thought process behind the Haunt World YouTube video, and when I was asking you, what is the future for Distortions? You know, it's like, hey, I'm not going to be around, you know, forever. And I'm not just talking about like, you know, going to the other side. I'm talking about like, I don't want to do this forever.
Larry Kirshner, shame on you.
I know. I just like, I think I've had like a fill of it. And
You want to put on yellow pants and go golfing, don't you?
no, I don't golf actually. I just like exploring, to be
Yes.
honest with you.
Yeah.
But, and I just started thinking about it, like, you know, think about like 50 years from now, like where will the haunted house industry be?
Yeah.
Right? And you'll be able to go back because we've uploaded these videos from the early 90s, and we were making those videos all the way through the early 2000s, and they're all there, you know? And so, let's just make a second run at putting videos out, but putting them on YouTube. So literally, if YouTube is still around 50 years, they'll still be out there.
Right, right.
You know, we'll be gone, maybe, maybe not.
Maybe not.
But these things will remind people of where it all started,
Yeah.
you know? And so one of the things I was saying before the camera overheated again was about, you know, St. Louis, Indianapolis, Nashville, just trying to get it kind of central and just trying to get your take on the show's not about haunt tours. It's about putting buyers, and that's the primary thing, not what haunts you can tour.
Yeah.
But
the hunters are great, you know, but it really, for the people that are in the biz, they want to see what's out there and buy it.
But don't you think that having a haunted house only show has really helped the industry grow quicker?
Yeah, especially
yeah.
with Transworld at the helm. They really know how to put on a show.
Yeah, they've done a great job. And so thank you for sharing all this info, Ed.
Oh, glad to do it. Now listen, let me borrow this a second. See, we through this whole thing, that guy has been there, and you know, it's just a voice in the dark. So
Yeah.
Anyway, you guys, it was so nice to have you out here at Distortions. Really
Thank
appreciate
you
it.
for visiting, you
That's
guys.
so sweet of you.
I have always been like, you know, vocal about, you know, like advancing the industry, going further, going another step. And, you know, it's kind of crazy to see how crazy it's gotten. And people have forgotten because the show has been there now for 15, 16
They
years.
don't know how good
And they don't remember. You know, I'm going to tell everybody a funny story to close this video out. The first year, and I remember you came to the Darkness Haunt Tour the very first year, and you made a monster for the Darkness for your show.
Yeah.
That's
Right?
right.
And you came, and I remember the very first Transworld we opened, you know, and it snowed. And Phil Morris was standing out there in the rain and, you know, the whole thing. And it was terrible. But,
I do remember that. It was like 70s, literally 24.
yeah, and it was literally sunny the next day. It was crazy.
And then snow, and then
nice again.
Yeah.
it wasn't as
No,
nice
it
as
was
70s,
cold.
but it was
Yeah,
still
yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
And the previous year, the show was in Vegas, and I helped organize the Vegas Haunt Tour. And it was the biggest disaster, and it was like the biggest complaints, and it went on for 7 or 8 months. And when Jen they agreed to do the show. They said, we'll do it in St. Louis. And then I told them, well, I'm not opening my haunted house. You crazy. I saw what happened last year. I'm not going through that. And she freaked out. And she says, we're spending all this money to do this haunt tour. I mean, this haunt show. You got to have a haunt tour. And I was like, no way. And she just literally was in tears. And I was like, fine. And that was the year we built
Getting her way
on
with you.
the building. And it was like the biggest I mean, it was like, oh my God, I'll never forget it. But I remember going to the Transworld show, and on the last day, I tried to get a hot dog, and they said, we don't have any. And I was like, oh. And I was like, do you have any hamburgers? No, we don't have any of those. Do you have any? They had nothing. And they said, we have RC Cola. That's what we have left. That's when I knew the show was going to be a success.
Yeah.
Because they told me, we were told the show would not be heavily attended. We were told the show would be very small. So they just had the one concession stand open. And here's the thing, Ed, it's now the biggest trade show in St. Louis for revenue for the city. It generates $8 million in revenue in the city of St. Louis.
Wow. That's
Can you
good.
believe that?
great.
It went from you can't get a hot dog because they thought it was going to be so tiny to it's generating $8 million for the city.
Wow.
It's unbelievable.
There's a lot of monster lovers out there.
A lot of monster lovers.
Yeah.
I will say, if it ever does move, I'm not going to be sad really. I'm really kind of just like over it, and if it moves, it moves. I'm glad that it's been successful for everybody involved.
Yeah,
Even
has
if it
been.
moves, it was incubated quite well in St.
Yes.
Louis.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens, what the future of the show is. They're renovating the convention center. Yeah. And I can't wait to see what you bring to the show next year.
Can't
Oh,
wait.
Do you have any ideas? Can you give us anything?
Yeah.
We won't know anything till November.
Will we see the hot seat?
Very possibly.
Yeah.
See, now she may fight me, but I think it's a good idea.
Now, you know, Ed, I'm going to say this.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
Really regenerate your
That's
legs.
right.
And we're on one dot. So
Oh,
we're on one dot
make it
about
quick,
it. So we have to make it
like-
quick. But I have to say to you, Ed, when you think about how things at the show go viral, right?
Yeah.
That would go viral. Think about every person sitting in that seat at the show and uploading it to YouTube and Instagram and TikTok. It was a prop before its time. It came out before
We
its
do that
time.
a lot, Larry.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks a lot, Ed.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Marcia.
Bye.
And
Enjoy.
hey, do I get like a free prop to carry out? And
Yeah.
Carry on
I
the
was thinking about
plane.
Arnold Schwarzenegger,
You can
but he's
carry
probably
me
too
out. I'm
heavy.
so tired.
Hey, I
Poor wife.
I want the Arnold Schwarzenegger. Okay, Ed.
I hear you, Larry. I
Thank you,
would
guys.
have never guessed.
Thank you.
Thank
Hey, well, thanks a lot for the
Larry,
tour.
thank you.
Thanks a lot, my friend.
Yay.
See you later, Marcia.
Oh, that's good.
And there he is, right there. We're right back where we started. All right, you guys take care. Whoops. And we're back to the train tracks. See you later. They want to get rid of me. They're sick of me.
No, we love you, Larry. See you guys.
Well, you guys take care.
Bye.
And here we are. We're right back to the train tracks. And that's it. That's the video for today. We went through Distortions. We reminisced about the whole haunted house industry all the way back to 1994, the first show I went to, the first time the electric chair came out. Ed talked about 1978 when he started the company. And there you have it. So make sure you like and subscribe to the page. What did you think, Patty, of the tour?
Amazing. They're amazing people.
And we're just trying to give
Industry
people
giants.
information. We're trying to like document the haunted house industry, and some of it you just have forgotten about or you didn't know, and that's what we're trying to deliver here. So hopefully you learned a few things. I know I'm going to be criticized. You interrupted. Well, batteries are going to die. I'm trying to get more information. That's what I'm trying to do because I'm a fan too. And there you have it. So thanks for watching the video. Like, subscribe, share. I think we're only 100 away from 13,000. I guess that's a good number, but I'd like to get to 20. We're almost at 60,000 on Instagram. We're really growing the Instagram page. I will really suggest that you go to the Instagram page, Scarefest, and follow it so you can see how we have really doing well with the Instagram. And don't forget, if you need ticketing this year, use fearticket.com. Fearticket.com. Contact us today, or contact them today, and start selling tickets. And that's it right here from Distortions, with no sign on the door, no sign on the building, right here in Greeley, Colorado.
For scary videos and more, subscribe to our YouTube page, huntworld.com.